Hello, everyone, and welcome back to No Cap Space, day 2 of the first 4, day 2 of the post-game shows. Tyler and Andrew holding it down for you. And we were telling you yesterday that the first 4 matters. We were telling this was what we were pushing. We were talking about Southern getting their first program win. Folks, even when the games matter, some games matter more. And what William and Mary have just accomplished is one of the greatest NCAA tournament stories that we have seen, period. If you are unfamiliar, Andrew, I would love for you to kind of spell this out for everyone. Like, take us back to the beginning of the conference tournament and take us to the history that was just made by William and Mary.
Man, so the way this started was the CAA conference tournament, and I had North Carolina A&T as the prohibitive favorite. They had stomped everybody this year. Good old Bill and Mary, 12 and 18, going into the CAA tournament, not only poaches North Carolina A&T in overtime in the semifinal, they win another upset game against Campbell in the final, clinch the CAA's auto bid. And this is the first ever tournament appearance by the Tribe in men's or women's basketball. So this is university-wide history we're seeing just to make the first 4. All right? They're 15 and 18 going into the game this evening. 3 games under 500. There's only a handful of women's basketball teams and a handful of tournament teams in general, men's or women's, that have made the tournament with a losing record. How many games, Tyler, out of men's and women's tournament teams with a less than 500 record do you think won a game?
0. Not 1. Until
As
tonight.
Of now.
Until tonight.
1.
Until tonight.
Crazy, man. This has quite literally never happened in men's or women's NCAA tournament play. Ever. What you saw tonight was history. And to quote the meme, this shit means something to me, man. Mm-hmm. This shit means something to me. Like, we don't get a lot of these stories anymore.
No.
You know? Like, when we think about sports writ large, any sport, men's or women's, everything has progressed to a point where there are an increasing number or an increasing lack of firsts ever across both sports. We just got a first ever. This is like Haley's Comet in 2025. So this is cool. This is a really cool story. I will take the victory lap on our Ball Knowers Daily Previews, which you can sign up for and take a look at nocapspacewbb.com, because what I said in that preview is the key matchup for this game, Bella Nascimento for William and Mary versus whoever High Point decided to throw her on. Mm-hmm. And guess what? Nascimento, 24 points,
cooked,
5 boards, and at one, it really was the first half performance, shooting-wise, that put them over the top. She started to get a little bit colder as we went into the second half of this thing, but she was so efficient on the front end that it didn't matter. Like, they did everything they needed to do. Natalie Fox was huge, 12 points, 12 boards. There's not a better story in basketball right now than William and Mary. And if I said it in our pre-show, if I'm Scott Van Pelt, that's a one big thing. Like, legitimately a one big thing. Yeah. This is the story that is the essence of March and why we love it so much. This is history for that team, you know? Like, this entire team, this entire coaching staff is going to be immortalized at William and Mary. That's cool. That's a really cool thing to have. And we don't, like I said, we don't get much of it anymore. So kudos to William and Mary.
Yeah. Yeah. And to dive into the game a little bit, like, first off, William and Mary had like contributions all over. Like, you had people all over the starting lineup in this that were, you had four players in double figures, which matched High Point. Like, High Point had, like, this got a little wicked for a little bit. Like, in the second half, High Point kind of locked in a little bit defensively, and stuff got wicked. And I was like, hold on, what's going on here? Because I mean, you have 8-12 on High Point, 6-12, 6-17 from Lawrence Scott, 19, 18, and 15. Like they had players on their team going too. But I'd say the thing that really sticks out to me in this is the free throw discrepancy a little bit. Like not even like the discrepancy of it, but like High Point goes 9-12, William & Mary goes 16-18, and like when like those like that's this is a 6-point win. So not only are you aggressive enough to go and get the free throws, but you're making them. And like again, like you when you think about teams that are under 500, it's the little things that add up normally when a team goes under 500 and can't string together wins. And free throws are commonly one of those things where it's like you just can't make them when you need to. Not tonight. Again, like this was a William & Mary team that did everything they needed to when they needed to. Again, a lot of it was kind of front-loaded production, as you mentioned, but even into the second half, like even when it got a little shaky, they just got the bucket at the right time, just to slow it down a little bit, and just was able to match the moment in this way. And again, like I am like overwhelmed. Like this is such a cool story, and again, like we don't get first very often, so to get one and to see it in the first four like this is why the first four matters, and March Madness begins on Wednesday.
Yes, and it all comes down, and one of the great narrative components of this tournament is how much everything comes down to effort. Like I feel like it is so ingrained in our sports psyche and is such a hallowed and celebrated event because of this kind of thing. Like we love seeing the effort and the heart that are put into these games and how much this stuff matters to these kids. Like there's just such an element of pride that exists within it that is really just the emotional trademark of what March Madness is for all of us. And nowhere is that more apparent, or was that more apparent tonight than on the boards for this William & Mary team. Like Natalie Fox with 6 offensive rebounds, Kayla Rolfe with another 5. Like that's where the free throw discrepancy comes in. That's where those possessions come in, is when you have the effort and the heart and the will and the want to go get the boards on the offensive side and be willing to take it down, bring it back up, get a foul, go to the line, hit your shots. It's just sick. Like I think I'm running out of the ways to describe.
That's what I'm saying. Like that's like, but I feel you. Like it's like I'm like filled with just like hoop head joy right now. Like we like getting to witness. Like this is awesome.
Well, you don't have to be a sports fan for this. You know, like we talk about this a lot in local news. We talk about this all the time. Every news director in America will tell you that the thing that people want in sports anchors at the local television level is a way to make these types of stories hit for the non-sports fan. Yeah. And they don't come this easily packageable.
Right. Yeah. William & Mary did it for you. Like
this is like a Disney script. This is like a local TV anchor's dream, is a story like this, because it speaks to everybody on any level.
Yeah.
You know, this is the classic dream big moment. And look, they could very well play Texas this weekend and lose by 40. Yeah. But no one's going to remember the losing by 40.
Matter. Like, everyone is going to remember. Not that it doesn't matter, but like I mean, this is like, again, these games, like the expectations are different, obviously, for different teams at different points. We talked about this last night, but I mean, again, this is history. It was already enough to make the tournament. Like that was enough. Like that was history already for William & Mary. And then to go and win it and to make NCAA history, March Madness history, period, men's or women's, like, come on. Like that's dope. And I'm being able to obviously go and play Texas now. You get to play in sold out Moody Center, one of the best arenas in the entire, like, I mean, that's so cool, dude. Like I love everything about this. This comment they had to wait until I graduated to make it.
You know what though? I've been there. I've been there, buddy. Dog. I've been there. I went to I will tell you an anecdote about this very thing.
Yeah.
I went to the University of Colorado for my undergrad. From 2012 to 2016, I saw one home Pac-12 win in football over 4 years.
Damn.
And literally the year after I graduate, they win the Pac-12 South. They go to the Pac-12 championship. Like, rush the field to win the division against Utah.
Mm.
It's always when you graduate. It's always
Yeah.
the year after is
Yeah.
when something starts to be cool. So Tyler, this means Oklahoma might go to like the Elite Eight. Like, well,
I was thinking about this.
if it follows,
I was talking to my dad about it. I was like, dude, what if they beat UConn and I'm not there? Like what? Like oh, I'd be so hurt. All these boots and I'd be
boots
so
and you
hurt.
couldn't stand
all
the
these
ones
boots.
that you wanted to.
Oh my goodness, I'd be
suffering
so
from
sick.
success.
Yeah, let's move on to this 11 match. I'm gonna go ahead and apologize to Joe in advance. To our loyal listener, Joe, pour one out for the Huskies. Bro, we got some real hoops in these first 4 games. Like these were some like genuinely very good games.
Good
And Washington Columbia might have been my favorite like game that we got out of these 2 pairs. I mean, let's just kind of rip it. Like what are you? Obviously, a massive win for Columbia. Kind of, it was a little seesawy throughout, and then really just kind of got tight towards kind of the back half of this game. Just take me through it. Like, what are your takeaways from Columbia being able to win this?
I know last night we were talking about how young Princeton is and how bright the future is for Princeton. If there's anybody in the Ivy League that is next from Harmony Turner's run of dominance, it is Riley Weiss.
She was hooping.
Like this again, stories that resonate with you on an emotional level. Like this was a dig deep, pull yourself out of the rut mentally performance from Riley Weiss. She started 1 of 7 and she ended up with 24 points, 14 of which were scored in the 4th quarter.
She locked in. She sat up in the chair. Like she hit the controller.
Cam Newton looking at the scoreboard, bro. Like that is exactly what this was.
Yeah.
And so to me, I posited it in our subscriber chat on Substack. I was like, is there something to the fact that Ivy teams might be getting just tired because they shot so poorly in the first half? This Columbia team did, and Princeton ran out of gas late. This really punked a hole into the theory that because they had their conference tournament 5 days before the tournament, that it gives way to tired legs. Because Columbia found second gear, especially there in the 4th. And it sucks for Washington. You blow a 13-point lead. And I've been disappointed by them because I feel like there's just so much meat left on the bone with this team. The defense is not great. Like I think there's some adjustment concerns, and rebounding also is a bit of an issue outside of Delia Daniels. But like by all accounts, this Washington team this year should have been better than what we got out of them. 19-14 on a first 4 exit. But I don't want to make it as much about them as much as it is Columbia. Like this is why you give 3 Ivy League bids.
Yeah, no,
because
seriously.
A couple years back, Columbia got shafted. I think it might have even been last year. I can't remember if it was 1 year or 2 years, but I mean, this is where they should have been that season, and they got snubbed. I think they were one of the first 4 seeds of either the original WBIT,
was 2 years ago,
or it was the last year of the WNIT. It was one of the 2.
Yeah.
But I remember being furious because it was them and Rhode Island that got
I think that was 2 years
season.
ago.
It was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And I was so bothered by it. And this is why you give them the chance instead of, a WBI team that is a high major who's 19-14.
Yeah.
Washington in the first half, I was, especially after that first quarter, I was like, well, maybe I was wrong. Maybe I was like, okay, good thing they're here. But by the end, it was like, okay, this is why you should be here, but a team like you should not in the place of Columbia. So,
yeah,
love for Lions.
I feel you. Like that's, I'd say the play that stood out for me, like I left this game just being like, wow, I loved watching you play, was Kitty Henderson for Columbia. Like you don't just talk. It's like, what she end up with? 4 steals, 7 assists, 7 rebounds, 11 points. Like, bro, filled up that. Like, she was everywhere, it felt like. And, like, you talk about the effort factor, like, that comes to play in March. Like, Kitty was everywhere. Like, you just consistently were hearing her name on the broadcast. And, like, it even before the scoring really got rolling for Columbia, like, it was her plays, even if it wasn't just purely the scoring. Like, that's what kind of kind of kept them like within striking distance, and then kind of started to build back, in my opinion. And so like she was phenomenal, I thought, in this. And I didn't know honestly if Columbia was going to be able to just plug the hole kind of in the paint, like with just the paint scoring that Washington had. Because I mean, they would just, I mean, Daniels was just score. I mean, she had like a double at halftime. I think it was 10 and 10 at halftime.
Yep.
And I didn't think honestly going into the second half, like there's not an immediate fix for that. Like you can't enter the transfer portal real quick. You bring in some size to cover that up, but they were able to make it happen. And again, like a fantastic game from Daniels, 17 and 11, 8 of 11 from the field, like phenomenal game. But like it just, again, like it's kind of been the story of Washington at several points throughout the season where like they just can't like close it up, like whatever, like whether you look at some of the non-conference games, like the LSU game, like like where it's like, oh, you almost had it. Yeah. And it felt like this was a game, like to Joe's point here, like there were certainly adjustments made by Columbia, and I think they used what they did have to make life harder, and especially like just avoiding the ball even being in Daniels' hands. But again, kind of to your point about Washington, like it's obviously this has kind of been the story to a point of the season so far, where we've had just several games like this where it feels like. But Katie Henderson for me for Columbia was just like chef's kiss. I loved everything she brought, and the idea of Katie Henderson versus West Virginia. Good Lord, the amount of effort just like on one basketball court. Oh, I can't wait. Like that's going to be so much fun.
It was very much like Emily Ryan last night, where even if you're not scoring and, Kitty Henderson goes 3 of 12 tonight, for 2 from 3, you're finding ways to affect the game on both sides outside of putting the ball in the hoop. And Emily Ryan did a very similar act last night against Princeton.
Yep.
Those are the players that you want around this time. So really impressed with Columbia. Washington, they have 3 great players, but they just need a little bit more. You can't have so little production outside of your 3 stars. Here's your crazy stat of the night.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Washington scored 60 points in this game. L.A. Dean, Savia Sellers, Delia Daniels accounted for 54 of those 60 points.
Goodness gracious.
Yeah. 17, 21, 16.
Yeah. One
Hannah
bench
Steins
point.
had 5, and they had 1 single bench point.
Goodness. I mean, what's crazy is like, I mean, it's not even, you get 17 minutes from Tegan Brown, who has the 1 point off the bench, but then you have 3 and 3. So like, you're not like, you're not even.
You're playing the 5 and a half.
Yeah, exactly. Like you just, there's no depth there, which that maybe that's the extra thing that you need. But I mean, goodness, like it's tough. You can't
basically play 5.5 people and have Chloe Briggs give you 0.0 assists.
Right. Yeah. Everyone has to be impactful in some level of way.
Correct.
Yeah.
So
I'm with you.
Tina Langley's got some work to do in the portal. There's, I would like them to stop settling for jumpers the way that they have. That's something that I hope they attack in the offseason. But there's a lot of there to like at Washington. But Columbia, of course, big story. Them in West Virginia is going to be an absolute.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on that matchup? I'm very excited about it. Even again, just if for nothing else, like just like the effort matchup, and like I just feel like that is going to be just a fun game of basketball, and like just a very high energy, like 2 teams that are just going to try their best to go get it. And so like that excites me in that way. But like what are your thoughts on kind of projecting ahead a little bit to that?
Honestly, dog matchup of the year.
Yeah, bro.
I'm
kind of with you.
This is a strong contender for dog matchup of the year. Just who has more dogs? Like that's what this game is. Yeah, man. I'm trying to think of maybe like West Virginia, Kansas State matchups this year.
I don't know. I still might give the nod to this, especially in March, like in the tournament.
In the tournament to do too. Yeah, this might be dog matchup of the year, man.
Yeah, I'm very excited about it. As we kind of wrap up here, obviously tomorrow's the day. Tomorrow is the day where the full slate start to finish. So we will be here for that. But before we officially wrap, Andrew, I know you've been clacking away for your daily preview for tomorrow. So kind of give people a rundown, like what the daily previews, like how you kind of want them to serve for our paid subscribers. Again, you can get a free trial on NoCapSpaceWBB.com going through the previews, get a week I mean, this might be the best time to use it. The amount of games that are about to be over the next week, get a taste for what the paid subscription is like. Be a part of the paid chat as well with all of our paid subscribers in there. But Andrew, first off, kind of give me the rundown on the preview and what you hope that serves. And then if you were to name a matchup that you kind of get a taste of the preview, is there a matchup that you are maybe most excited for on tomorrow's slate specifically?
Well, for starters, I might have carpal tunnel. Like, dog, my hand hurts. The word count for this currently rests at 6,332 words.
Goodness gracious.
I think we're going to clear 7,000 by the time this thing is done and out in the early morning for everybody. But what it is it is like your Phil Steele college football magazine for the NCAA women's basketball tournament. So today and tomorrow, we're going to have all 16 matchups, every single team currently in the field, their record, conference finish, net ranking, key players, just to give you the primer. I'll give you my take on what I think this team is and where they're at. Do the same for the team on the other side, and then the one key matchup that I'm watching. And we have this for every single game that is going to be played in the first round tomorrow, as well as the first round on Saturday. So it's kind of like you can just refer back to it throughout the day whenever you want. As far as the matchup I am most interested in tomorrow, man, I feel like it's Grand Canyon Baylor.
I can get behind it.
Yeah. 13s don't beat a lot of 4s in this tournament, believe it or not. The 12-5s and 6-11 matchups are the ones that are much more likely to give you that. But this news out of Arkansas today that they might be looking at other options than GCU's Molly Miller to be head coach. Don Thornton from Alabama A&M's name was in there, among two others who escape me at this point. But Molly Miller was supposed to be the person they were backing up the Brinks truck for, and now all of a sudden you move off that. That sounds to me like either a bigger job is coming for her or she's staying at GCU. And Mitch Northam, who is with SB Nation, he has been absolutely on top of all of the coaching carousel stuff this year, made a really great point. He said, in an era of rev share, this house decision that occurred where athletes can get a share of the revenue that the universities are getting, it is actually more beneficial in the long haul when you game it out to be at a mid-major with no football program that is all in on men's and women's basketball, because there is a higher chance that even though you are bringing in less revenue, your share of what is allocated to you has a good chance of being higher than it would at, say, an SEC school that has football primarily, and 90 some odd percent of the rev share that goes to all the athletic programs is going to football, and probably 3% goes to men's basketball and 1% goes to you women's basketball, and then the other 1% is to be divvied up against everybody else. If you're at Fairfield or you're at Grand Canyon, you might not have as big a budget, but you might have 20% of that budget. And those dollars and cents can matter on the margins here. So when you really think about the upshot of staying at a well-moneyed mid-major, it stands to reason that over the next 5 years, that might be a better proposition than being a middle-of-the-road head coach at a power school or a high major school that is not guaranteeing you any significant portion of that rev share budget. So with that in mind, to bring that point all the way back to center here, if it's legit that Molly Miller is locked in at GCU, or at least for the time being, all of the questions about how focused will this team be in the midst of their coach potentially leaving, that goes away.
Yeah, sure.
You're now locked in, right? Your coach is locked in. Your scout is locked in. Your assistants are locked in. Your players aren't looking at the portal or thinking about what other people are calling them for. If all of you were together, this feels like the team that can mess up Baylor's day.
Yeah.
They have a solid big in Laura Erickstrup that can play at least well enough against Aranette Vonleh. Trinity San Antonio can stand on two with Dariana Little-Page-Buggs, Sarah Andrews, Yaya Felder, Jada Walker. She's an Olympian.
Yeah.
Leads the WAC in steals, was conference player of the year at one point. Like she has the goods, and she's an incredible perimeter defender. And then you have Alyssa Durazo Frescas, who is a 45 or 46% three-point shooter. They are a team that out on the West Coast here, I've been watching a lot. We did a feature on Molly Miller in the offseason. I'm a huge fan of just that team in terms of how they play. And Baylor, to me, as good as they are, feels like they are prone to just doing dumb stuff sometimes.
I could see it.
The two TCU games, granted, TCU is a different caliber of opponent than GCU is, but the mistakes that are made late, like Baylor kind of tenses up a little bit, like Nikki Collin and co in the last 45 seconds of games. And this has happened twice in clutch moments in what was a de facto regular season championship, and then again in their conference tournament championship, that they make these weird moves. They did the same against Oregon early in the year. They lost 74-70 in that one. It's just, so Grand Canyon can keep it tight with them with a minute and a half left. Like, I don't care if Baylor's at home. They could do something dumb. They're that kind of team that could do something dumb. And in those moments, that's when you want your coach locked in as well. And if she's locked in, those kids will be locked in, and this has the chance to be a really good game. So that's the matchup that I think I'm looking the closest at. Also, Oregon Vanderbilt, but that's for very different reasons.
Yeah. That's that one's a little bit more on the nose of why everyone's excited for that one. I mean, come on, like that's gonna be incredible for various reasons.
Yes.
But yeah, go make sure. Again, this will drop tomorrow morning. You could reference it all throughout, and these are daily. So you get this first one. You like what you're getting. There's more on the way. So a ton to be excited for, a ton to look out for No Cap Space, including our video with Hall of Famer Marion Stanley dropping tomorrow morning here on the YouTube before all the games get rolling and everything. So literally come and get a perspective on how a team wins a national championship, and from a coach that has won a lot of national championships and has coached some of the greatest players. You might know them, Lisa Leslie, those type of players.
Nancy Lieberman, just people.
You might know him. But I mean, you want to talk about one of the people, a resource that we were able to kind of pick the brain of for a solid 30 minutes and just learn from. I was geeking out. I was so excited just to learn. And I think that a lot of you guys would enjoy it and do the same. So check that out. We dropped 3 videos today. We had Jalen Sherrod on. We had Bonnet Gang, the Bonnet Gang reunion, which was so funny. And also Jordan Robinson as well. So go check those out. And tomorrow we're back. We're back here live, wrapping up the day. If there's some big upsets, be on the lookout. This is why you got to subscribe and turn your notifications on, because if there's some big upsets, you might get an emergency video in the middle of the day. Like, who knows? Like, it truly depends on what goes down, what madness occurs. And regardless, we'll be here to talk about it. So be ready for the live. It all goes down. Get ready. All the links in the description below. You can still have time to enter into the bracket challenge as well. Link is in the description below. Go check that out. Win you some home field gear. Also, I mean, of course, the No Cap Space home field collection. Every piece of women's basketball merchandise. Code NOCAP15 to get 15% off your first home field purchase. And folks, sleep well. Get a good night's rest. Because tomorrow, the madness, it gets crazy. It gets crazy from start to finish. And we will be here to talk about it tomorrow night. Hit subscribe. Make sure you are subscribed. You might think you're subscribed. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you are. Go look. We're almost at 3,000 right now. Make sure you're subscribed. Hit the bell. Be notified when we go live. And we will see y'all tomorrow.